Chair now recognizes Mr. Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, thanks for coming before us. I guess I just wanted to ask you, start with a question about Ukraine. Last year, we passed in this body the Lend-Lease efforts when it comes to Ukraine, but I'll be honest, I haven't really heard anything about this ever since. So I guess I just wanted to ask you, has it been activated? Has it been used? How are we trying to integrate that into the efforts we're trying to deal with Ukraine?
Thank you very much, Congressman. I'm not aware that that particular authority has been deemed necessary or used to date. We have, as you know, thanks to the incredible support from Congress on a bipartisan basis, and in effect the incredible support from the American people, provided very significant security assistance to Ukraine. Not only that, we've rallied other countries to do the same thing. We now have more than 50 partner countries. The security assistance that we provided, mostly through drawdowns from existing DoD accounts, has answered the needs of the Ukrainians, as well as the work that our partners are doing. In addition, there are some direct sales and other things, but the main focus has been the drawdown from DoD accounts.
I appreciate that. And if you don't mind, I'd love to be able to follow up with your team as well as with the Pentagon just about, what was the determination that this does not need to be used at this point. But I think you and I can agree, we want to make sure that we're being as forward-leaning as we can. This is such a critical year for Ukraine. It's so important that this does not drag on, because if it does drag on, that's something that very much benefits Putin, very much benefits Russia, as they have that ability to kind of wait this out. We got to make sure that that coalition will is there.
I agree with you.
I want to switch gears a little bit. I had a meeting recently with my constituents, and they were raising their concerns about how Russia was suspending New START, how we're seeing increased nuclear weapon development by China. And it feels like we're at this place where we're starting to slide here again after progress over previous decades on nuclear nonproliferation, on drawing that down. But you and I were both dads of young kids, and I just really worry that my kids are going to grow up in an era with just an even greater threat of nuclear weapons than the era that I grew up in. So I wanted to just get a sense from you, how central is this in your prioritization as we're thinking about global competition?
I very much share your concern. I think we have seen backsliding when it comes to arms control and nonproliferation, because a number of countries have chosen to move in the wrong direction. You mentioned Russia pulling out of New START. I think that was a very regrettable and irresponsible decision. This was an agreement that benefited both of our countries in terms of its predictability, the visibility it gave us, and of course the limitations. Now, the Russians say they're going to continue to abide by the limits, but in the absence of the verification measures, obviously that makes it more challenging to be sure. Across the board, we've seen movements backward. However, at the same time, the United States has been deeply engaged with the nonproliferation treaty countries, and in fact, at the last review conference, I think we actually took steps to strengthen the nonproliferation regime. Same thing with the Biological Weapons Convention. Same thing with the Chemical Weapons Convention. And there remains a strong core group of countries that want to make sure that those institutions and those agreements are upheld.
Oh, we're no doubt seeing rising challenges when it comes to this competition, especially vis-a-vis China and Russia. But as you're at the table with them, is there any appetite at all to, as we increase this as this competition unfortunately continues to increase, to try to take some of that nuclear weapon concern off the table? I mean, just
there is certainly on our behalf. I and other colleagues have engaged our Chinese counterparts on this repeatedly, saying that we should, at the very least, work on greater safety, security, visibility, risk reduction.
Well, especially when it comes to the Chinese arsenal. I mean, they are rapidly increasing, but their stocks are still significantly lower than where the United States and Russia are. So, it feels like an opportunity here to really try to press on this. And I urge you to do so.
And I agree with you. And similarly, of course, with Russians, despite the aggression in Ukraine, despite the other areas where we are in, obviously on polar opposite sides of things, we've said all along that we believe it's imperative to try to sustain and even build on arms control agreements, because it's in the interest of the world as well as the interest, of course, of the American people.
I don't have any more time left, but I do want to just follow up with you after this about what we can do to make the visit of the South Korean president as successful as possible going forward. I think that's so key, especially as we talked about regarding South Korea and Japan.
I welcome
Thanks so
that.
much, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you.